Hello, thank you for joining me today. My name is Dennis and welcome to my art channel. Today we're going to be going on an adventure for painting. I've got some watercolors on me and I'm here at a local lake. This is Gunners Branch Lake in Maryland. I've got just the right equipment here on my little plein air easel setup. Same as my last video, but a little bit improved. I've got my brushes standing on the palette and a bit more prepared. I've got the bug spray this time. Shout out to the struggle from last week. But here we've got an initial wash, just laying down some yellows and some blues. Those are the predominating colors that I see here, and mix them together in some of the middle and get some greens. You can see my composition being laid out. I've got blue sky, blue water, yellow trees, and then something orange right in the center of the page. It'll take a bit of time to develop all these points and ideas, but transitioned into a smaller round brush, and away we go. Gotta take every color in this palette, not necessarily every color, but as many colors as possible. I have 3 blues, I have 3 yellows, so I'm trying to layer each of them down in different areas to get some kind of unique colors going, some different options and values and layers. I don't want it to be one yellow throughout the page. I mean, just looking at the scene, I don't see one single yellow. It's all sorts of tones and shades, everything in between yellow and orange. There's some reds there too, so I can't just ignore those, but I also can't overwhelm the painting. I have to make choices. So I'm choosing to emphasize the yellow when it comes to the trees and the greenery, and then emphasizing the blue for water and sky. Hopefully as layer after layer of watercolor gets thrown onto the page, things will start to unravel and make some sense as I'm putting in a bit more of that red that I was talking about. It is quite a bright color, especially when the rest of the page is so lightly toned. And these little marks, honestly, I was thinking of the geese that I was seeing. There was a bunch of geese around this little island in the middle of the lake. I'm not sure if there's a footpath for any people to get there. I kind of doubt it. It's too tranquil, too peaceful there. There's always, I feel like every time I walk around this lake, I always see some ducklings or some geese there, so I did want to incorporate them somehow into the painting. I feel like I don't have a clear technique for it yet. I've got these little blotches of little dudes on there, but they aren't quite clear enough. Maybe next time I'll try to do something more dedicated to the wildlife, where they got a bit more prominent of a position in the painting and base the composition a bit more around them. I feel like they end up falling out of place as their scale is just a bit small for the scene. Maybe I could use a smaller brush to indicate them, but at the same time they're such light colors that it's hard to think of how to do it. Maybe some molding paste or something initially to prevent that area from being colored. So starting with a little white spot and then adding a bit of grayish, darker tones. Make a duck, greenish tones? Yeah, something like that. But I digress a little bit talking about the ducks. I like the ducks. I want to paint some ducks. I'll be back. But here, I'm focusing mainly on the trees, mainly on the water as well, trying to get a bit of reflections in the water as well, since it was a fairly bright, sunny day. You could see clear skies and the reflection of the trees in the water, although it was a bit windy, so it's not like a super clear image. It's not a perfect mirror or anything like that. There's quite a bit of wave and a bit of sparkle going on, so trying to incorporate some of that imperfection into the painting as well. I don't want anything to be super straight line or perfect here, if that makes sense. I mean, interesting to think about. This lake is man-made. Somebody had to put all these plants and direct the water in a way that it collects here. I think for the county, a lot of these lakes are used as water reservoirs rather than simply as I'm using it for recreation, for a bit of a walk, and in this case a bit of painting. But interesting to think about that it is a man-made lake, yet nature still has to run its course. Nature is, growing all these trees, and it's not like anybody's out here pruning them ultra super meticulously or anything like that. There's not a bunch of bonsai growing on the horizon here, if that makes sense. This is a pretty natural kind of horizon line that I feel like I'm seeing. So I want to incorporate that organic feeling. I don't want to have like a feeling like I'm making a garden. Although, like I said, like it is a man-made lake. Somebody had to come down here and decide which trees are going to be planted where. But at the same time, there isn't anybody totally keeping track of these things. It's nature's still letting itself grow in those places. But I do feel like, similar to the grass that I'm standing on here that's so perfectly mowed, there is somebody that's checking every so often to make sure everything's in a okay kind of direction, everything's going smoothly, and of course the lake has to keep certain levels, right? I feel like if they're using it for any kind of reservoir, it would need to be relatively sanitary, right? It can't be turned into anything like, you don't want to pollute it. I feel like that should be pretty obvious. This is a beautiful little area, and I hope that people take care of it, right? I actually met one of the neighbors who lives here. Said hi while I was making the painting, so hi to Saul if you're watching this video. It was really nice to get to talk to somebody who's able to just look out their window and experience this every day. It's such a nice little area. I feel like it gives me a lot of inspiration, especially in the colors that I see here at near sundown. Did this painting about an hour to 2 hours before sundown. About my favorite time of the day. You get to see a lot of unique kind of colors. I love the violets that end up being in the shadows, and you can see that in the core of the island and sort of the shadow that it's leaving on the water as well. Trying to incorporate all the colors, right? I mean, I see a rainbow of color when I look out into the world. But I do have to make choices to transfer it to the page. Not all those choices come out correct, but I do feel like I'm capturing the essence of what I'm seeing, and I hope that I'm able to translate some of these feelings both visually on this painting and orally through just my words on the video, how I'm talking about it, explain the thoughts through the brush strokes. I feel like some of the splotches for the trees are a little wild, and maybe I could have spent a bit more time on the finer details, but the sun was setting. I had my sister with me, so we were in this together. I could not just be here forever, of course. So, I feel like that's the thing with plein air. There's always a time limit, both with energy and the sun. The sun itself is setting. I must go before it's dark. But it's quite fun to battle against the environment and try to make something out of it that's new, unique, and experience. But yeah, fun little extra clip, the geese flying out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to catch you again next week. Have a lovely weekend. Peace out.